Welcome to the Heroic Voice. This is February 12th, 2026. I am here with the Critical Blast people with, ah, why am I blanking? George. George Gatsis is here and RJ Carter. Yeah. Okay. We're going to do something a little bit different. This is not an interview. This is actually a production meeting, which we're allowing you folks out there who are watching the Heroic Voice to sit in on. We're going to be talking about the upcoming Liberty Girl archive, a collection of all of her appearances to date in a single volume. And there were some questions that our Critical Blast people wanted to ask, some answers that I want to give, and some things I want to point out to them. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that conference call right now and let you watch it as it happens. This is the Heroic Voice, where I talk to comic book creators and other interesting people on a variety of subjects. I am Dennis Maloney, publisher of the Heroic Multiverse, where we feature good girl and bad girl artwork, super babes, and all kinds of Silver Agey style stories. Thanks for agreeing to do this. This is different. It's going to be good, I hope. I've never done this before, so we're about to find out. Um, Say hi.
Thank you for having us on here, Dennis. We've been, for people who are picking up your books, they've seen what we do with you already. We've done the Flair Archives, the Flair Sundays, the Captain Thunder, um, Murcielaga Shebat.
Mhm.
I never say that right.
No, you never do.
Murcielaga
Mercy
Shebat,
Elega.
and and Chrissy Claus was our last one.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah. That's out, isn't it? I
it
noticed that.
is,
But yeah.
and the Morgan Wars, which we did with the Southern Knights people as a co-project.
Hmm.
So this is our chance now to shine a beacon on Liberty Girl.
I understand that it was actually George who had the questions about this formatting and stuff like that. Um, Maybe
Well,
I
that's
should
because
see.
he gets it from me after I get it from you, and by the time it goes through me, it's never the same thing as what you told me. So
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm usually the back end. He's RJ's the front end. I just sit back, drink a coffee, smoke a cigar, and wait for the information.
and do the work and let RJ take the credit.
Well, yeah, I
pretty
see. I have to hire the slave labor from China, India, and Morocco, and that takes time. Time.
and then
Alrighty.
he does it all in one night, the night before we send it to the printer. So
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to reiterate, what I want to do is have this archive contain every appearance of the Liberty Girl to date. Um, You're going to be writing introductions to each of the four sections. There are going to be four sections in this. One of them, well, the first one will be the preliminaries, right? The development of the character, some archive stuff, um, basically story material that we did prior to her first actual appearance. She did some cameos in some books, right? So I want that first section to be how she was created, how she was developed, and how we paved the way for her. Okay.
okay,
The
Uh,
second
uh,
section, oh, you have a question, George?
no, no, I'm agreeing. Okay.
Okay. The second section will be the stories that date from her golden age um, career, from the mid 1930s through the mid 1950s. She had a career before, during, and after World War II. We have a lot of stories that have been written by a bunch of stellar talent. Roy Thomas, Billy Tucci, um, gosh, so many people who contributed to that. They're all going to be in that section, and we will present those in chronological order, starting
right,
from the 1930s through the 1950s. There aren't a huge number of them, but there are a lot, and that's going to be section two.
yeah. And I went through the process for George's sanity of naming every single one of those TIFF files with the date and the page number, so that basically, if you just start scrolling them down, they're in order. They're right there.
That's great. Okay, section three, right, will be her contemporary stories. Um, I haven't sent it to you yet. There is one a panel that appeared in, of all places, an issue of Champions Adventures that sort of is a prelude to her. You know how superheroes have arch enemies, right?
Yes.
The Liberty Girl has an arch enemy. And we only saw him in the first and second issues of Liberty Girl. But later on, there was actually a one panel reference in an issue of Champions Adventures that showed a scene from our very first encounter with him. So we will introduce that contemporary section with that panel and then go right into all of the stories, the modern day stories from Liberty Girl #1 through Liberty Girl #7. Okay, and that is section 3. And then in section 4, I want to do the non-canonical pieces. Right? There were a lot of people who asked if they could use the Liberty Girl in a book or so. So I'm going to put all of those as an end piece, right? These are other appearances of Liberty Girl that you may not be aware of that were done by other people who just loved the character and wanted to use her. Okay, so that's my plan. 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay. I
Does
like
that
it.
make sense?
That
Oh
does.
yeah.
It's me.
Okay, now you guys throw questions at me. If you've got them, now's the time.
Well,
What's
I'm
for dinner?
looking. Ha that's yet to be done. So I'm looking at, we have a shared folder that you get into and George gets into and I get into. And I'm looking at that and I see section 1, section 2, and section 3.
You don't have
Uh,
section 4 yet.
don't have section 4 yet. Okay, that's first answer. Um, and the reason why that's important is because a lot of people, for those watching, a lot of people think that, oh, we need to make a change to a comic book. We just open it up in Photoshop and erase the words and write the new word on there. We don't operate that way. So we have like a 300-page book, which is going to be anywhere near that neighborhood. If you have to make one change to a page, George is up for 6 hours
Oh,
re-rendering the entire book from scratch again to make one page. So we want to make sure we have everything that we want to have before we start the first render. It just saves so much of George's time.
oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay, then in that case, the answer to the implicit question is I will get the rest of that to you as quickly as possible. And George, do not start actually putting it together until you have everything.
Okay.
Okay. Ah,
That makes George happy.
George smiles all the time. It's like it's frozen onto his face there.
It's just one of those happy moments.
Oh, okay.
And I know we're going to have there were some prose stories. We're not reproducing the stories, but we are
No, we're
reproducing.
not. But I do want to give you the covers of those as
We
part of
got two of them.
as part of section 4, right? Because those were actually licensed, right? And even though one of them is actually an adaptation of some stories that appeared in Liberty Girl, which is the reason that I decided not to actually publish the prose because there's no point. The original graphic stories are in this volume, but there were also um, there was a second volume that had new stories in it, new prose stories, and I've checked with all of um, the authors, and they've all agreed that they would like those to appear again. So what I'm planning, and I haven't discussed this with you, is to give you that so that you guys can actually produce, the second printing of that volume
In this volume or as another book.
in another book.
Oh, lovely. We love that idea.
Okay. And I haven't mentioned it to you before because I hadn't done the clearances yet. But as it turns out, since this was that was a licensed property, we actually do own all the rights. So it's only as a courtesy to the authors that I posed the question to them. So we will get that into print at some point again.
Very good.
The company that did it, Pro Se Press, no longer exists, sadly. There was some internal problems and the company went out of business. So
What did they do, and what time period did they exist in?
Lordy, that's a good question. It was like the 2000s they started up. and they started doing prose books. And it was just recently that the company dissolved, even though they'd been having trouble for a few years, management disputes. Um, they did a good job with the stuff, and I wish they'd been able to do more. In addition to the Liberty Go volume, they did a Flair volume, they did a League of Champions volume, and I think that was it. They did four of them.
There's
So
still a market out there for the pro superhero stories. So if you want to put volume one out there, you want to put the other ones out there, we're here. We'll do
yeah,
it.
volume one was done by Barry Reese. He wrote that, and it was very nicely done. The cover artist for those two Liberty Girl books is actually doing a new Liberty Girl drawing for us, and a new Flair drawing for us in which she fights Mechano. So I'm gonna have to come up with a story for that. So
Yes.
yeah.
Let
Okay.
the art first, story second. Okay, we know how this one goes.
Yeah,
The
yeah, that happens a
Marvel
lot. Julie Schwartz has a long history of doing that. All righty. So if we don't actually have any more questions, I really want to try to cover this. If there are any more questions, let's deal with them. Otherwise, let's talk about the Liberty Girl.
Sure.
Uh,
I don't think I had any more questions. You said you had a forward for every section. I see Roy Thomas. I see Tony Isabella. I know we're going to see you. Are you going to be delivering the fourth introduction as well, or?
there is no fourth introduction. The rest of it are frontis. Well, frontis. I guess they are sort of introductions. They're frontispieces to each section,
Yeah.
which I'm going to be writing. Um,
Okay.
yeah, and yes, I'll get those to you, but not today. We've been moving our offices from Orange County to Pasadena, and it's been kind of hectic, which is also the reason that we haven't been posting anything to the Heroic Voice in the past few weeks. We just don't have the bandwidth for it. But
Okay.
that's pretty well taken care of now, so we should be able to get back to it. Um, Let me ask you, George, have you read any of those Liberty Girl stories, or you just
No,
basking in her glory?
I haven't read at all. The file's just been sitting there waiting for me to start to work on it, because when I start working on it, I do um, batch work along across the entire batch work across the whole book. So I start off with formatting, making sure everything is adhered to the right proportions, right size, because different scans, different sizes, and all that stuff.
Hmm.
And then go through uh, the initial cleanup to see, are the whites white? If not, they have to be taken care of. That's the most important part at that point. And then I go back in, and then I start to assess the images, some of which are scanned, some of which are original digital files, stuff like that. And then I look for alignment. Is the
Hmm.
page off kilter? Is the are the edges? Basically, I'm looking at the page, and does it look like it's a square, or if it's not a square, meaning that say the bottom right edge, is caved in a little, the top right edge is caved in a little, so I don't see a square on that page. Then I have to do a trapezoid adjustment so that the top left corner is squared out with every other corner on the page. I have to do that with all the books.
Yep.
Once
Page
the
at a
once
time.
the yeah once all once It's not something that is automatic either. No, none of
And
this
that's when he's
is.
reading the books.
I know
That's
about
when
that.
he
I've
needs to
done that
read.
sort of thing myself. It can be a real pain.
Yeah.
It's challenging. You're going to be, I hope, in luck with this because you're working with original files for the Liberty Girl volume, not scans. These are all the production files.
Well, that's great, but even the original files are
Sometimes have issues. Yes.
are off kilt,
Yeah.
because that's just the way the artist drew it.
Hmm.
Not understanding that, hey, the computer has a ruler in it. Why don't you adhere to horizontal and vertical lines? Uh, not a lot of artists uh, do that. I don't know why. I just don't understand.
I
But
have a few
agree.
artists who are clumsy in that regard. I'm not going to name names, but
It's an easy thing, you know. Hey, the computer's got a ruler. Look, it's horizontal or it's vertical. You know, how about sticking to those lines? No, no, no. You got to get those really odd lines that just are just 1 or 2 degrees off from being perfect. You're horizontal, you know. Yeah, that translates poorly when you're doing all the pages and you have a double page spread, and then you look at the page on the left, perfectly squared out. Page on the right, it's
not
off
so
kilter.
much. Yeah, yeah.
And then, of course, after that is the those little art bursts that happen outside the margins, the safety area of the comic book, where hey, let's stick that extra pow whammy explosion outside the margins of the comic book panel, or that boot the guy just got kicked in the face with is outside the margin, or that superhero standing eh, wherever they're standing, but their elbow or their cape is outside the
Or the
margin,
heel,
or the
the
heel.
heel of the right
Yeah,
foot.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I have to figure out. Oh, okay, wait a minute. If those are outside the margin, can I safely adjust the artwork so that way we still get outside the margins, but we don't get it beyond the trim line.
right. Yeah.
Okay?
Oh,
All
that's
these
insight.
little things. Yeah, that's that. And then if that's the case, at that point, do I ask myself a question? Um, Are we going to trim this, or are we just going to do a distortion and make that little extra burst going outside the margin, shrink it a little,
Yeah. As I
so
said, a
so that
production conference. Oh,
Yes, yes. I have a question about
yes.
Liberty Girl herself, because she's new to me. You've had these golden age stories and you have these modern age stories. I know enough about comics to state for a fact that heroic publishing was not around in World War II,
That is
publishing
true.
these
We were not.
stories. So, so how did you? What was the actual print chronology of the Liberty Girls? Did the modern ones happen first, and they say, "Hey, she's like an older character, and she listed back here"?
No, it was
Did
simultaneous. It was always the concept that we would tell stories from her first career. And I actually threw that out to a bunch of people. Hey, we're doing the Liberty Girl, right? Do you want to contribute to it? If you want to contribute to it, we've got these 20 years of history that need to be filled in. And people jumped at it. So, I was
all right,
happy.
the Liberty Girl. That's an original creation, or is
Yeah,
that some character that you picked from the
no,
20s and
no,
30s?
she's my concept, pretty much fully blown.
That's a really great concept, and I think you developed it really really good, because the moment I saw the character, my initial thinking was, okay, I gotta hunt down the books from the 40s, or and that was my initial thinking, because
That's a
the
wonderful
concept.
compliment, George.
Yeah,
Gosh, that makes me feel really good. Um,
yeah, I gotta hand it to you. The concept's
we love
so
the 40s characters.
well polished, well realized, well executed. That's I My first initial thought was, okay, it looks like I'm going to have to hunt down the Liberty Girl comics in the of the 40s.
let me give credit where credit is due. I had input in this, right? I actually designed her original costume myself, but I wasn't happy with it. So I took it to Derek Gross Sr., and said, Derek, here's the basic idea. Can you do something with this, right? We want a shield, an American shield, red, white, and blue. But I'd been talking to Marvel, a few years earlier about reviving Miss America, right? And they didn't go for it at the time, right? So I told Derek, we do not want her to look like Miss America, right? Because that's not who the character is. So, what other color is there that's associated with the United States of America that isn't red, white, and blue? And it occurred to me as I was talking to him, gold, right?
Yes.
Make the body of her costume gold, right? With just the the red, white, and blue shield and the belt, right? The stars, the actually functional throwing star that sits on her belt buckle. If you look at that belt buckle, you see that's 3D because that is in fact a throwing star. It's a weapon. Um, so Derek took that basic concept, designed the look and feel of it, and it looks just wonderful, I think.
Nice.
I love the sleeves, the billowy sleeves. It's not like a super tight spandex kind of costume like you would expect to see on a superhero. It's more Phantom Lady in
Well,
concept.
the leggings are certainly skin tight. And there's a funny story there. We have a wall poster of that of the Derek Gross version of that cover of Liberty Girl #1. We took it to a convention, put it up on the wall, right? She's the girl of bronze. And little girl came by and looked at it and said to her mother, "Mommy, that girl is naked." I just laughed
Oh,
and laughed. Oh, but I
well,
can
she's
see how a
wearing.
little girl might interpret that.
Yep. You had to go from bronze to gold, make it a little
Yeah.
bit more clear that it was
Yeah.
yellow.
Yeah, yeah, and then sort of move it towards the left a little more palish, just a hint of red, a little more palish, a little hint of yellow.
Yeah,
You'll get the perfect skin texture.
Mhm.
pretty much.
It just
Um,
occurred to me that we just went through part of my introductory piece for the development of the Liberty Girl. All that stuff I said is going to be in that introduction.
in the
So
book.
that's
Well,
cool.
one
Helps.
of the things about the production of this book that we haven't touched on is that we're timing this for a very specific celebration.
Yes, we are. Right. And what might that celebration be?
There's a
Halloween.
word for it, and I can't say it because it's too long.
Hmm. The sesquicentennial of the United States.
Sesquicentennial. Yes. 250.
250th anniversary.
So, with that in mind, what we've done for Flair and Murcielaga and Chrissy Claus is we've always done the hardcover, the soft cover, and the manga size for reading. And we've, kind of slightly altered each cover, given it a little bit of a different uh, key art piece on it. But for this time around, we're going to do all of that. And then we're going to do a second hardcover, which is going to be a very key art patriotic cover, the 250th celebration cover right there on it. The other covers are going to be like the standard. It's going to be the key
Mhm.
art all the way across the borders with the panels stacked up, just so it fits the theme of all the other ones. But we'll have if you want to get it, something with. And it's not designed yet, but it's going to be very iconic, sort of like the Superman with the eagle and shield kind of thing.
Which is an
Um,
homage. There's an homage to that on the cover of Liberty Girl #7
we'll
by
take
none other
maybe we'll
than
use that
Frank
one.
Brunner. Frank Brunner also contributed to the Liberty Girl. He did a wonderful cover for her years ago that we never got into print until now, right? And as we speak, the Kickstarter is over. It was wildly successful. We're going to be printing that book soon. Oh, and another piece of news. We're going back into comic book stores through Philbo distributors. And the first issue of Liberty Girl Deluxe will be available in June, just prior to July 4th in comic book stores.
Excellent. Yeah, Bilbo's doing a great job. They're getting into the comic book stores. We've just done some fulfillment to them from Mike Barron's Nexus project. So some retailers who ordered the Nexus Omnibus Volume One from the Kickstarter, that they've got them in stock already, and they should be on their shelves through
Great.
Philbo.
More than that, we're going to be doing 3 books to start out with, not just Liberty Girl Deluxe. The first issue of Flare Deluxe will be out the same month. And in July, we'll be releasing Sensational G Girl Deluxe. So there will be 3 titles, mostly quarterly basis until we see how it goes. But I'm hoping that this will expose those characters to fans
Well,
who've
G
never
Girl's
seen
pretty well
them.
exposed already.
Pretty much, yeah, yeah. She's not quite naked, but her costume is a swimsuit. So,
Now, now
yeah.
G Girl, that's the G is for giant, right?
Yes, yes, but
Okay.
she can't grow, so it doesn't make sense to call herself Giant Girl. So she just called it G Girl. Third generation. superheroine. Grandfather was the original giant. Her dad was the second giant. Her mom is the Nemesis girl, and now she's a superhero. So
Family
Holy
tradition. I love
smokes.
family heroes.
let's see what else. Do you have anything else to ask about the Liberty Girl? Because I really want to talk about her. She's cool. Oh, her
I
dad. We can't yet say who her father is, but there are plenty of clues in there. Her father does not come into public domain for another few years, so we can't say who he is.
is he strong?
Well, she's the bronze
Is she
goddess
able
of
to leap
freedom.
tall buildings in a single bound?
Nope.
No, she's the girl of bronze, George. I think I figured this one out.
But if anyone suggests that, I'll deny it until such time as he actually does come into public domain.
And then he can appear.
Yes.
So,
Well,
so that covers the question of origins.
what I want to do when it does come into public domain is actually start reprinting some of those prose stories from back then, as an adjunct to the Liberty Girl comics. But that's, as I said, that's still a few years off.
That's gonna be a little sketchy. Uh, for to the character coming to the public domain is one thing, but the artwork itself would have to be the artist plus was it 90 years,
No,
70 years?
what the artwork? I'm not sure what the artwork is. The copyright law is 95 years from the date of publication or creation,
Yeah.
depending on.
So it's 20. Yeah, it's in 29, January 1st, 29.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not that far off, and I am looking forward to it. Um, what was I going to say? The origin of her costumed identity is in Liberty Girl #7, and that'll be in the archive as well. As I said, everything that's been published to date will be in there. So, what else can we talk about? Or are we essentially done at this point? Any other?
We might be.
All
I'm
right,
just digging the artwork.
are you creating anything else other than the books?
What do you mean?
We created
You
a
know,
magnet.
Oh, the
magnets,
magnet. Yeah, the magnets. Yeah.
T-shirts, hats,
I'd like to,
coffee cups.
but I don't have the wherewithal to do that. Do you guys want to handle that?
We can help you with that. We wouldn't be fulfilling it or anything, but we can set you up with key art that you could put on stuff and then run it from like a Teespring store where people just order it and you collect money.
Okay. Yeah, I'd
Because they
like
do
to do
things like the
that.
coffee
We've
mugs
still
and the
got a few
t-shirts.
months before, July 4th. So,
Yeah, we got the key art already. So yeah, we could look at me speaking for George here. We could come up with the art that would look nice on a mug and a t-shirt and put the logo on it and let people go forth and advertise on their clothing.
we actually have a design
Well,
for a mug. That piece, you've probably seen it, RJ, the Billy Tucci horizontal Liberty Girl at the top of the two-page spread on pages 2 and 3 of the story he did.
Okay.
That particular one, because she's so long and leggy there, works very nice on a mug.
Yeah, wraps around.
Yeah, exactly. Um, okay, well, maybe we should call it here.
Let's do that.
All right. Thanks for being here. Yeah, this is different. If people like it, smash that like button. Maybe we can do more of these, even though they will probably be a little shorter than the usual interviews. Subscribe to the Heroic Voice, right? Share the link with all of your friends. We got to grow this channel. With so much in the works now, right? So much on the drawing board. Um, I really want to use the Heroic Voice, not only to interview comic book creators, but maybe to start interviewing, and talking about upcoming heroic publishing projects. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not my highest priority, but if people are interested, we should talk about it, I think.
Well, you've got a lot of catalog backlog to build these archives from. I mean, we've still got Blair 3, 4, and 5 to get out as far as archives go. We've already talked about G Girl coming up next. I know I put in a bid for getting Eternity Smith collected together and making that into an archive edition. we're not gonna stop until every book that Heroic Publishing has put out is available in hardcover format as well.
Well, Rick Hoberg will be pleased if we can get that Eternity Smith archive going because, Rick has not seen much in the way of royalties from Eternity Smith. So if we can get something out there that will produce royalties for him, he'll be happy.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. All righty. Thank you for being here, George. Thank you, RJ. And
Oh,
thank
it's
you to
nice being here.
everyone who is watching this on the Heroic Voice.
Thank you, Dennis.
Liberty Girl. Liberty Girl. When trouble starts rumbling across this land and the bullies talk big with a heavy hand, you'll hear a zip, a zap, a star-spangled swirl. Here she comes swinging, it's Liberty Girl. Oh, Liberty Girl. Hooray for Liberty Girl. With a bright, brave smile and her banner unfurled. She's snappy, she's sassy, she's fighting for the free world. Hip, hip, hooray for Liberty Girl. Oh, yeah! From Main Street corners to the harbor shore, she's watching, marching, keeping score. One quick wink and a victory twirl. Bad guys scram from Liberty Girl. Oh,